Welcome back to the smartest year ever, our quest to become the world's greatest conversationalists. My name is Gordy, and this week it is Word Origins Week, a full week of etymology, mystery, and linguistic lunacy. Today, why is it a gaggle of geese? And did anyone actually agree on that? I'm talking and perhaps debunking animal group names, so so-called collective nouns for animals. You know, you've heard them. Like and subscribe right now if you haven't, so you can keep up every single day. I do this every single day, and I'd like to see it tomorrow. Last week, though, the theme was Weird Animal Week, so I thought it would be an apt transition into Word Origin Week to bridge the topics a little bit. So we're kicking things off with a murder of crows, or maybe a parliament of owls, a pride of lions, a gaggle of geese. These sound poetic, maybe even scientific, but are they? Well, the first thing to know is that a lot of these animal group names don't come from biology. They come from a 15th century English hunting manual. It was called the Book of St. Albans, published in 1486. And it wasn't written by a zoologist. It was probably compiled by a noblewoman and prioress named Juliana Berners, who had a fondness for hawking and heraldry. One section listed over 160 so-called terms of venery, basically a bunch of poetic collective nouns for groups of animals, people, and professions. It's actually very entertaining. Though it's written in Middle English, think Chaucer era, if you remember from my time traveling English video from May 16th, go check that one out. So I'm going to put some of the actual words on the screen, if I remember. And then you can read the whole book on Project Gutenberg on the website, because they reproduced the book there. And it'll be the first source listed in the YouTube description today. It's really fun. So I'm taking this directly from the Old English book, and I translated it over to modern English, not Old English, Middle English, and I translated it to modern English. And so you'll see some of these names have stuck. So have a selection from the list. A pride of lions, a gaggle of geese, a swarm of bees, a flock of sheep, a brood of hens, a litter of puppies. Those are pretty well-known ones, right? And then there's some lesser-known ones, like a lease of greyhounds, or is it a leash of greyhounds? It's a lease of greyhounds. A drift of domestic pigs. This one's cute. A kindle of kittens. Unkindness of ravens. An unkindness of ravens. A charm of goldfinches. A business of ferrets. What line of business you in? Ferrets. Others in there were like way more clearly a joke, or meant to show off how clever the author was, and she was clever. A superfluity of nuns, a subtlety of sergeants, a drunkenness of cobblers, an eloquence of lawyers, a sentence of judges, a damning of jurors, a blush of boys, a herd of harlots, a rage of maidens. She also uses gaggle again. A gaggle of ladies. Look at that, a gaggle of ladies. But just remember, this was written by a woman author, folks. So it's cool. But you get the point. The person was very creative, and they had a lot of fun and made a really entertaining list. But here's the thing. None of these were official or scientific. They were just linguistic flair, meant to be performative, witty, aristocratic. It was a vibe, not really like taxonomy. In fact, researching this, I read the op-eds of many angry birders who think these names are stupid, interviewing zoologists studying the specific animals, and they were like, oh, I've never used these terms in my life. Like I've never heard anyone use these terms. Like I wouldn't have no clue what they were talking about if they came up to me and started using these terms. But yeah, no one ever accuses birders of being the most fun people in the world. I'm just kidding. But I do say that because whenever I use a bird sound effect, like even as a joke in one of my videos, my shorts, which you can see on @SmartestYearEver, you will, I invariably get a birder being like, that's not the right bird sound. But I do appreciate that. So while I make fun of you, I also appreciate you. Nerd on nerd action right there, Iron sharpens iron. But a murder of crows doesn't have as concrete of an origin, as it's not mentioned in this work, but it does seem to have appeared in the 100 or 200 years following this book as a continuation of the playful poetic naming convention of animals. That was kind of like hey, let me see if I can play this linguistic game, it's a fun one. So why did some stick? Well, it helped that they were colorful. A murder of crows it's awesome. It's ominous and gothic, perfect for a bird that already had kind of a bad PR reputation and mythology, similar to the unkindness of ravens. But why are they laughing at me? In the 1950s, C.S. Lewis is said to have popularized the term a parliament of owls by featuring the name in the Chronicles of Narnia. That's a good one. It makes them sound wise and dignified, and it fits, It likely draws on older poetic tradition like Chaucer's Parliament of Fowls. I didn't realize how much that sounds like Parliament of Owls. Cool. But another fitting one is also a pride of lions, right? That's regal, noble, top of the food chain. It's just good branding, just really good branding. So the names that felt right lasted, and the ones that didn't disappeared, like a melancholy of monks. Now I just call them a group of monks. But then came the internet. And things got stupid. We got inundated with clever people. Too many people wanted to throw their hat in. And suddenly we had websites and quiz books and novelty mugs listing hundreds of animal group names, many of which were completely made up or repurposed from that 15th century list without context. A thunder of hippopotami, a fluffle of bunnies, a dazzle of zebras, a confusion of guinea fowl. And to be fair, some of these had historical roots, or were at least regionally used, but others just sounded cool. And I don't know, something about that irks me, but I don't know why. It's a me problem, right? Because like Fluffle, for example, Fluffle of bunnies, that was invented by a Canadian student or Canadian students in 2007 as a joke, and then it went viral. And now you see it everywhere, repeated on the internet. I guess I'm hard on other fact purveyors. I'm like, come on, man. I'm hard on myself, so I would be hard on other people that give me a daily fact. You don't need to just give me fluff. Don't give me a fluffle fact. Give me something that's research. Tell me about it. But that's a me problem. I'm projecting. But yeah, so how do you know which one of these like terms are real when you see these giant lists of like, a smack of jellyfish and all of these things? How do you know which one's real? And honestly, you don't, because it brings up more of a linguistic question of like, even the real ones that I'm saying, like the pride of lions, they weren't meant to be scientific at the time. Like, so what makes a word real? Like, is it how long it's been used, or like who uses it? If like professionals use it, is it real? Is it a certain amount? Is it once a certain percentage of people use it, does it become real? Like what is it then if it's not real? Is it just a sound? So the whole, I don't know, let me know in the comments what you think, how you define a real word. If you need a dictionary to validate it, or how that works. Or if you're like as weirdly crotchety about this as I am, but I don't know why again. Because I think it's fun and I love this kind of linguistic stuff. But yeah, it's just a fun question. So ultimately, most of these were just like aristocratic memes, and then the ones with better PR and branding lasted. So yeah, so the next time someone drops a smack of jellyfish into conversation, you feel free to say, hey, that's cute. That is cute. Did you get that though from the 1486 hunting manual, or did you get that from BuzzFeed? Yeah, that'll show them. That everyone will be so glad you showed up at the party when you say that. But so there you have it. The poetic mess behind animal group names is part medieval and joke, part internet fiction, and a reminder that half the words we treat as facts were basically invented by people trying to sound fancy. And with that, Word Origins Week is officially underway. Be sure to tune in tomorrow if you want to keep nerding out about words. And what I would love for you to do is make up your own animal group name and leave it in the comments. Like, get creative. Like, you never know. Maybe this could become a real word, or I'll even just like say the one that's the best or gets the most likes. I'll just straight up do an episode on, and I'll say this is a real word. No, I won't do that. Maybe I will. I'll give it a shout out at the very least. Check out the sources. Check out that book that I referenced. That's an interesting one in the YouTube description. And check out the short version at Smartest Year Ever on social media platforms. And in the meantime, stay curious and stay clever on our quest to become the world's greatest conversationalist. I will see you tomorrow for more Word Origins Week in the Smartest Year Ever.